Welcome back to Exclusiva. I'm David Puente in New York. We're joined now by comedian Bill Santiago, who's here with us in New York. Bill Santiago, welcome.
Hey, David, how are you?
You are a specialist in Spanglish, and I want to talk about that. And I don't know if I said Bob Santiago going to the break.
I can't believe you got my name wrong. We're off to a great start. I was not expecting that from you.
Would you believe it was Spanglish?
No,
okay.
That doesn't qualify as Spanglish. That's just typical journalist era.
That's a mistake. I saw your TV special, Comedy Central Presents Bill Santiago, but you're also an award-winning journalist, award-winning journalist. Is that right?
Yeah. I used to be a reporter before I got into the stand-up, but I didn't find it as fun. I'm much more comfortable on stage and connecting right with an audience than even an audience.
Well, I brought this story up with you earlier. We know how Venezuela has helped Cuba out with cheap oil. Now Cuba's paying back, would you believe this, in zebras. While the zoo in Havana was losing animals during years, the Cuban government maintained a safari park outside the capital. The park was breeding zebras, and now the comrades in Venezuela are to benefit from that park. The zoo in Caracas will restock the rundown facility there. Cuba is to supply animals of which it has a surplus, like zebra and giraffe, also a lion. Caracas will trade them a puma, beautiful cat, and 4 capybaras, a tailless semi-aquatic rodent, considered the world's largest rodent. Bill, good idea, neighbors helping neighbors?
Well, who knew that Cuba had a zebra surplus all these years of the embargo, and not having a trading partner for their zebra exports that really had their effect. Now they got to get rid of them, and thank God Venezuela came along to help them out. But it's not even an exchange. I mean, capybaras for zebras. Capybaras are the ugliest animals. They're rodents. They're just big. I think Hugo Chavez was just cleaning out his house. He couldn't figure out a way to get rid of these things, and Cuba owed him a favor. I think that's it. You know, they just won the Miss Universe pageant, and they're sending over capybaras.
Not as cute, right?
Not nearly as cute, no.
You know, but I think people eat them.
Well, you know, there's still a food shortage in Cuba.
All right. Hugo Chavez definitely happy with the swap, apparently. And speaking of charismatic leaders, here's another story for you. Argentina's president, Cristina Fernandez, we've called her the new Evita, and we know what she looks like, a very attractive woman. She grabbed international headlines when she won by a landslide this past fall. Now she's struggling to gain more support in her country. She's even faced violent protests. Her popularity is at a record low, less than 20%. She envies George Bush at this point. A 4-month dispute with farmers over a system of export taxes resulted in massive protests in Argentina. Her vice president, Julio Cobos, cast, get this, the tie-breaking vote in the Senate against her. It was the tax bill she backed. Some say the new Evita is letting people down. Bill, what do you make of her?
Well, yeah, she's taxing the soybean exports like 40, it's almost half, 50%, and they're going nuts because they can't make the money, and soybeans have never been more profitable, except in Argentina, where it's such an export. And she actually doesn't compare herself to Evita. She cites Hillary Clinton as her hero.
Of course.
So maybe the United States has been spared by the fact that she's not going to be in the White House herself.
Well, we've compared Cristina Fernandez before because her husband, Nestor Kirchner, was president. She was a senator, after being first lady, and then she was, unlike Hillary this time, I mean, Cristina Fernandez, it was a landslide.
Cristina was a senator before her husband was president.
Exactly.
And actually they're tag teaming now so they can stay in power for 16 years. It's the kind of stuff the Clintons can only dream of now. But the comparison is very astute.
Yeah, and she pointed that out, that she was a senator before her husband became president. Let's talk about your book.
Okay.
You just finished a book. It's titled Pardon My Spanglish, One Man's Guide to Speaking the Habla. The only book that I've ever seen, Bill, that's about Spanglish, written in Spanglish.
Yeah, that was the idea, yeah.
And, it was interesting to me. Your parents didn't allow you to speak English growing up.
Well, no, not exactly. I mean, we spoke both in the house back and forth, but there were certain time periods and certain situations where they instilled a no English rule, like when we go on trips and things like that. My father made sure that once we were locked in that car, it was all Spanish all the time.
Did that ever become a problem?
No, not exactly. But there were instances where you felt like your life was in jeopardy. I remember one time we were going down to Florida, and he was like, no, tiene que ser en español, and we're like, but papi, there's a train coming, a train, no, en español, but a train, and you're freaking out because in that moment, in that, your Spanish isn't kicking in, you're like, El Choo-Choo! And that was kind of the kickoff to Spanglish. It saved my life in that moment.
El Choo-Choo, El Choo-Choo. Well, we will check out this new book you've got, Pardon My Spanglish, One Man's Guide to Speaking the Habla. Train is a tren, but in a moment of crisis, it becomes a choo-choo for Bill Santiago. Thank you so much for being with us today, Bill. And
Thank you so much.
I hope we'll see you back here on Exclusiva.
We'll see you soon. Talk some more Spanglish.